Hello, welcome to today's CATIA V6 or 3D Experience tutorial session. I'm just going to be going over a consolidation exercise where we combine a lot of the features, maybe not all, but a lot of the features in the part design module or workbench or app, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to be going over, let's say, this part. This is just a personal part that I made, actually in SolidWorks at first. These are just screen grabs of it. I won't be following the exact dimensions. The purpose of this tutorial is just to go over the features mostly, not really anything else. Um, so we'll just get started actually. I opened up a 3D part already. You could rename it to whatever you'd like. Um, these aren't probably going to be the best practices in the design. I'll be going over some like good practices in the part design in some separate tutorial. I'm just gonna make this a bit more quick and efficient. There's nothing technically wrong with this, but there are things that you want to do differently for better, I guess, future robustness and editability. Okay, so I'm just gonna create some sketches and some paths. But before that, let me just do a geometrical set where I can introduce some, let's say, reference elements before I even go into a sketch actually. Um, Again, not the ideal way to do it. This is more for just showing you. Let's say I want to make some parts that actually, let's say I want to make some parts that just define, it could be holes, it could be 3D points. Let's say I want to make some, let's say I want to make some elements that just define some key geometries. Let's make this one actually a bit less and I don't know, create some holes. Let's do by like 70 and 25 or 20. Let's just make multiple of these. I'm just doing Control V, Control. I'm just doing Control C, Control V over here, and I'll just go into each one and edit them. I'm just changing up the sign so I just get a rectangle outlined by these points. All right, we can see our 4 points over there, and I'm putting them in the geometrical set. I could do lines and planes if I want to. Let's do a plane, for example. Let's offset it in the other direction. And let's say I want to make this thing 6 centimeters or 60 millimeters, and I'll define where my ground plane is. Just as an example, let me show you a example of a line. I could do, so that's my starting point. I can make the line, a plane can define a direction, right? That's the, oh, point direction, there you go. And I could do in any direction that I want it, that's normal to the plane that I selected. I'll just keep it at the default value. That's one example of it. Okay, besides that, let me go into the part body. If I haven't already said before, we want to, at least in this case, I'll define some uh, general geometries in the geometrical set. Okay, and then I just want to go into the part body. I'm going to define that as my in-work object, right? Let's define the in-work object as opposed to define in the work object. Just want to clarify that. And let's say we want to create a sketch on this top plane over here. I'm going to click these axes to move it around so it's actually oriented correctly. Yeah, that looks fine to me. Okay, I'll do a centered rectangle about here. It seems like my snapped points are on, which is actually fine, but typically I like to turn it off. So I'll go to Tools, which I'm not too sure where it was. I might have to search around here. Yeah, I actually might need to go in the sketch. Maybe it's a sketch option. Yeah, okay, so I could turn off the snapped point. Yeah, I think that's probably what I'm going to do, and I'll just constrain it myself here. Looks good. It's ISO constrained, and we can know that from the analysis, meaning it's just exactly defined. It's not underdefined, it's not overdefined. Overdefined would be an example. Example would be this. If I try to add this, then we can see that if I go back to the analysis, it's over constrained. which is not what we want. One thing we could do is if we have a thing that's over constrained, but we just want to see the measurements, then we could make it into a driven. So we'll have the parentheses and it'll be ISO constrained. So this is not a actually, it doesn't drive any dimensions. It's just basically you're just taking a tape measure. It's basically just taking a tape measure and just measuring it out and reading it out. I will exit. Let's create a pad. Well, I'll make it fairly thick. Profile is this. Yeah, let's make it fairly thick on the other side towards the ground. Okay, yeah, that's fine. And let's add some more actually on this top face. I'll add a sketch there. Add a sketch. One thing we could do is we could project this element so that we could use it. That's one way to do it. Where did it go? Sketch, project 3D elements, right? And it's yellow to indicate a projected element. It might be a different color, but it is still a element that we can use within our sketch now. And you might have seen that I switched to this profile tool. I'll hit escape to escape this. It's shaded to indicate a closed contour. What the profile tool does, just for as a reminder, is it creates closed or even open contours or profiles, where if I click once, let me escape, do it again. I'll click once and let go. Then I'll click once while holding on and dragging. Then I'll create a tangent arc. I'll click once, let go. Then I'll click once while dragging. Then it does the same thing, and we could use this. Right, I forgot to click and drag that time. But you get the point. So that was the tool I was using, so I don't select multiple new lines. Let's just... Yeah, we could use this. And just create another pad. That's maybe not as deep. Let's constrain this actually. Say 10. No, we don't need to scale it. It's not too important. And maybe a pad that only goes halfway-ish on the other side. Or yeah, less than halfway, I guess. Or actually, let me do this. I'm gonna go back and change it. I might skip. Cancel. I'm gonna project the same face, but come back to it a bit more. Constraint. It's just a portion of it. And what we can do is trim this out. Where is my trimming tool? Should be here, quick trim. Seems to be ISO constrained, right? And you can tell by the color coding. Let's exit and actually make this pad the same depth. Okay, let's create some holes on those locations. Let's see, and let's create some holes. I'll just use one of these reference points as an example. You have a hole feature here. We could select the plane. And also, if you're unsure about what to do, it says select a plane or a face on the bottom here. And if you don't see that reading, then you can go to display and turn it on in your status bar here. Let's create a hole on this face. We could go into positioning, and we can make it coincident with one of our reference points here. Let's exit, and let's say I want a counterboard hole that goes a certain depth. Although actually in this case, I sort of wanted to go through. bottom type flat. Let's do out to plain. I'll leave the rest to be default values. So we have a counterboard hole over there, right? We could do to the other holes, but I'll move on just to show you more new things. Let's do one where we create a pocket. So I'll create a sketch here. I'll show you an example of using the pocket feature here. I might not totally dimension this. Yeah, I'm just going to leave that as being underdefined. That's fine. Again, not good practices, but just showing the features here. Yeah, that looks good. And this might be a good time to show a revolve profile. So let's say, go back to our geometrical set and have a reference plane that offsets this to this point. Okay. And then we could create a sketch back in the body on this plane. But actually, I'm going to exit and make sure that I'm using the projection point selection to project this to be the origin. That looks better. Oh, whoops. Let's do it one more time. Okay, I'm going to use the profile tool and make, let's say, a little knob. Looks good. Again, not totally dimensions or defined, just showing you the features. Okay, profile. Let's make this axis. Okay, let's say I want a little knob on top. Looks good. And if I want to have this to have some sort of, let's say I don't want it to be a circular feature. Let's say I want it to be a centered rectangle. I'm going to center this and make it coincident. And let's say I want this to be coincident with that edge. And then one thing you could do with the pocket feature is to pocket everything else. So pocket is done outside the profile, right? We could select that and we can make it go up to the plane of the top surface here. Maybe zoom in just a little bit. Oh, whoops. I mean the bottom surface here. Preview looks good. I could do, let's say I want to chamfer on that. Let's hit preview. Looks good. Sort of want to just, for aesthetic reasons, add it on the bottom too. That looks better. Okay, so that was your revolve or shaft feature. There's also a negative version of it, which is a groove. Same idea, except you're going to be carving out a feature instead of adding one.